The galaxy had never seen a force like humanity. Small systems once dominated by the Vare now whispered the name Earth, with a mix of awe and fear. But the Vare were not finished. High Lord Zyrak knew the humiliation at Dravos, Xylar, and Korath could not stand. Humanity had shown they could strike back, but the Vare had numbers, weapons, and experience. To reclaim their honor, they prepared the largest fleet in history. The gathering storm in the Vare capital, every hangar, every shipyard, every training ground worked at feverish speed. Over 500 warships from cruisers to massive battle carriers were prepared. Veteran commanders drilled their crews day and night. Warships glimmered under artificial lights, bristling with weapons designed to crush human forces. High Lord Zyrak addressed his generals. "This is our final chance. The humans must be destroyed, their fleets shattered, their homeworlds burned. If we fail, the galaxy will no longer respect us, and I will not allow that." Even so, a flicker of doubt remained in the minds of some generals. Humanity did not fight like other species. Their adaptability, courage, and determination were unparalleled. Humanity's response on Earth, Admiral Cole monitored the Vare's preparations. Humanity had anticipated retaliation, and the united Earth fleet had grown stronger with every battle. The Titans stood ready, immense and deadly. Smaller frigates, destroyers, and stealth drones swarmed in patterns that could trap even the largest fleets. Elena Rios addressed humanity. Her broadcast reached every colony, every fleet, every ship. "They thought they could erase us," she said, her voice strong and unwavering. "They thought they could scare us into submission. They were wrong. Now they bring their full might to our doorstep. But remember this, we fight not just to survive. We fight for every world, every life, every human who refuses to bow. The galaxy will see our resolve. They will see our fury, and they will learn that humanity never surrenders." Across the stars, human crews steeled themselves. They were ready. The Battle of Sol begins. The Vare fleet arrived at the Sol system, confident in their superiority. Hundreds of warships formed lines of steel and fire, moving like a predator closing in on its prey. But the humans had prepared. Sensor networks had tracked every approach. Minefields, stealth drones, and hidden fleets waited for the first strike. The battle began with a silent warning. Stealth drones disabled key Vare engines, leaving some ships drifting helpless. Rail cannons tore through shields with precision strikes. Human frigates weaved between the massive Vare vessels, hitting weak points and retreating before enemy weapons could respond. The Vare commanders roared in frustration. "How can they anticipate every move?" one hissed. "They are everywhere at once." Human innovation in action. Every human strategy was calculated. New weapons were deployed mid-battle. Adaptive drones moved faster than alien sensors could track. Artificial intelligence predicted Vare maneuvers and suggested counterattacks. Titan-class dreadnoughts moved into position. The Indomitable unleashed its main cannons, vaporizing entire squadrons of alien cruisers in a single strike. Resolute fired on the enemy's supply lines, cutting off reinforcements before they could reach the battle. The Vare fleet faltered. Their formations broke under the combined weight of human ingenuity, precision, and relentless determination. Allies stepped forward as the battle raged. Smaller alien species revealed their secret support. Hidden fleets and intelligence helped humanity navigate the chaos of space combat. Alien engineers provided crucial upgrades to human weapons. Colonies once oppressed by the Vare sent supply ships carrying essential ammunition, energy, and spare parts. The galaxy watched in astonishment. Humans, the so-called upstarts, had turned allies from fear into supporters. The Vare now faced a united front they had never expected. The tide turns after days of battle. The Vare fleet began to collapse. Ships retreated in disarray. Their command structures were disrupted. Veteran soldiers were confused by the humans' relentless tactics. High Lord Zyrak grew furious. His voice echoed across the command chamber. "They cannot be defeated. Every attack we make, they anticipate." Admiral Cole, aboard the Indomitable, knew the moment had come to press the advantage. He ordered a full strike against the remaining Vare flagship. The human fleet moved as one. Smaller ships distracted the enemy, while the Titans closed in with devastating firepower. Explosions lit up space as alien ships disintegrated under human fire. Finally, the Vare flagship, the heart of their fleet, was destroyed. High Lord Zyrak barely escaped, his pride shattered. Humanity stands victorious as the battle ended, human forces regrouped. The cost had been heavy, but their resolve had not wavered. They had defended their home system, destroyed the main Vare fleet, and sent a clear message to the galaxy. Humanity would not be bullied. Elena Rios spoke once again. We asked for peace. They brought fire. We defended ourselves. They brought war. We fought back. Let all who hear this know, humanity cannot be underestimated. Humanity cannot be controlled, and humanity never surrenders. Across every colony, every fleet, humanity cheered. Survivors from Rhea Prime and other destroyed colonies felt a sense of justice finally fulfilled. The Vare's retreat, High Lord Xerak retreated to his capital, licking his wounds. His fleets were broken, his supply lines destroyed. The arrogance that had ruled the Vare dominion for centuries was gone. Even he knew that the galaxy's perception of humans had changed forever. Other species, once intimidated, now whispered about Earth with respect and fear. Humanity had risen not just as warriors, but as a force that reshaped the balance of power in the galaxy. A new understanding. In the aftermath, the Galactic Council convened. Some delegates argued that humans should be punished for striking the Vare. Others urged caution. Realizing that humanity's unity and determination had created a new reality, Elena Rios addressed the council once more. We did not start this war. We did not seek it. But when our people were attacked, we defended ourselves. Let this be a warning. Humanity will protect its own. Push us too far and you will face the consequences. The galaxy will learn that we are not weak. We are not to be ignored. We are humans. The words echoed through the chambers, leaving delegates silent. The era of underestimating humanity was over. The calm before the final storm back on Earth, Admiral Cole surveyed the stars from the bridge of the Indomitable. The battle was won, but the war was not over. The Vare were still out there, regrouping, recovering. And other species who had watched the conflict might test humanity next. Cole turned to Elena. They thought they could break us. They failed. But the galaxy will not wait for us to rest. We must be ready for whatever comes next. Elena nodded, looking at the massive fleets preparing for the next campaign. We will be ready. The galaxy will see what happens when humans are pushed too far. And as humanity rebuilt, retrained, and prepared for future battles, one truth became clear. Their fury was unstoppable, their resolve unbreakable, and their rise irreversible. The turning tide had begun. The galaxy was vast, filled with billions of stars and countless worlds. Civilizations old and proud ruled different regions, and the Galactic Council sat at the center of it all. The Council thought it had seen everything, from living crystal ships to fleets powered by dark energy. But one day, their long-range sensors detected something that made even the most seasoned captains lean closer to their displays. It was a single ship. At first glance, it looked huge, far larger than anything normally used by modern fleets. Its bulk was uneven, almost crude, with massive armored plates bolted onto its hull. It moved slowly, as if it were dragging itself through the void. The first reports compared it to the old war barges used in ancient times. It was so strange that many of the council members laughed when the scans came in. A primitive supercarrier, one counselor declared, probably some abandoned relic drifting in from a forgotten war. But the scans showed something unusual. The ship's core gave off energy readings far stronger than a drifting wreck should. Its drive systems pulsed with controlled power. It was alive, not dead metal. And its course was straight, deliberate, pushing slowly toward council space. The first fleet to notice it belonged to the Solari, a lizard-like species known for their strict military codes. Captain Rethar of the Solari guard ship Talon's Fang studied the massive shape on his screens. His crew hissed and clicked nervously. Such size. Why build something so large? One officer asked. Rethar flicked his tail. For intimidation, perhaps. Or it could be some colony ark. Too much armor for a colony ark, another said. The ship filled the screen like a moving mountain. No smooth curves, no elegant design. Just raw metal stacked layer upon layer. It reminded them of stories of ancient war myths, when species built monsters of steel instead of sleek cruisers. The Council's intelligence branch quickly gathered. They shared reports from different ships comparing data. The consensus was clear. The vessel was real and it was heading directly into their territories. Still, they were not worried. How could something so clumsy be dangerous? In the grand chamber of the council, representatives of many species gathered. They studied the hologram projection of the strange ship. Some smirked, others chuckled. "Primitive," said a long-faced Rhinar diplomat. "Look at it. They must have hollowed out an asteroid and slapped engines on it." "It is not efficient," added a Valon tactician, whose people prided themselves on their sleek star cutters. "It wastes energy. No serious power would design such a thing." "But who does it belong to?" asked one cautious voice. Silence followed. No insignia was detected. No banners. No known design matched. The council ruled that the vessel posed no real threat. Still, for safety, they ordered a small fleet to approach and study it. If it was a derelict, they would tow it. If it was active, they would demand answers. Meanwhile, the rumors spread across trade routes. Merchants whispered of a giant from the void. Miners claimed it was a ghost ship. Explorers said it was a war relic drifting from forgotten times. The name Primitive Supercarrier stuck, but not everyone mocked. Among the council's observers was a scholar named Dayron of the Thal. He watched the recordings with a keen eye. While others laughed, he frowned. The energy readings were too stable. The engine trails were too precise. He leaned closer to the display, speaking softly to himself. "This ship is no relic. Someone built this recently." He tried to warn others, but the council waved him off. Fear of an unknown power did not fit their prideful image. Far from their debates in the black silence of space, the ship continued forward. Its lights burned steady like eyes in the dark. Inside its hull, hidden chambers pulsed with life. Thousands of crew moved quietly, their footsteps echoing in metal halls. They were disciplined, calm, and waiting. They were human, but the galaxy did not know that yet. To the aliens watching, the ship was a mystery of clumsy design. To its crew, it was something else entirely. A fortress built with purpose. Every plate of armor, every hidden system, every sealed hangar was part of a plan. They had built it far from the eyes of the galaxy, in deep shadows of space where no council spy dared travel. Now it was time to reveal it. The Solari fleet was the first to come close. 5 cruisers, 2 frigates, and 1 command ship approached the massive carrier. They flew in formation, sleek hulls gleaming, their weapons ready but not armed. Captain Rethar sent the standard greeting across all frequencies. "Unknown vessel, you are entering Galactic Council space. Identify yourself." No response. The carrier kept moving, silent and steady. "Unknown vessel," Rethar repeated, his voice sharper. "Respond or we will consider you a threat." Still no answer. The carrier did not turn, did not even slow. The Solari ship circled around it, scanning its hull. Their sensors returned confusing data. The armor was thicker than anything they had ever measured. Beneath the plating were strange structures they could not map. Energy signatures ran deep, like rivers of fire hidden under stone. "It does not match any design we know," one officer said. "Perhaps it truly is ancient," another added. But Captain Rethar narrowed his eyes. Something about the silence of the ship made his scales prickle. "This vessel is not drifting," he said. "It moves with intent." The cruisers sent probing signals, trying to cut into the ship's systems. But every attempt was blocked by dense shielding. Frustrated, the Solari commander prepared to fire a low-powered warning shot across the ship's bow. Just as the order was given, the carrier's lights changed along its hull. Rows of hidden panels flickered, glowing faintly. The Solari crew froze, their sensors catching sudden spikes of energy. The massive ship still did not respond, but now it seemed less like a drifting giant and more like a beast stirring from slumber. Rethar felt a chill run through him. He whispered to himself, This is not primitive." But his words were lost under the alarms filling his bridge. Back in the council chamber, fresh reports arrived. The Solari fleet's transmissions showed the strange glow of the carrier. Scientists argued over the meaning. Some said it was just reactor bleed. Others said it was a bluff. The majority still laughed. "What can such a slow, bulky thing do?" asked one counselor. But Scholar Dayron whispered again, "You are making a mistake. Whoever built this does not want to be seen. That is more dangerous than you think." The council ignored him. They had already judged the carrier as a curiosity, not a threat. Far away, aboard the giant ship, the human commander stood in a dark control chamber. Before him, the holographic display showed the Solari fleet circling like insects around a giant. He watched calmly, arms folded behind his back. "Still no contact from them?" he asked. "Only demands," replied his communications officer. They believe we cannot hear, or that we do not understand. The commander gave a small smile. Good. Let them believe that, for now. His gaze moved across the display, tracing the sleek alien ships. They think us primitive. Let us not disappoint them. The bridge fell silent, the humans waiting for his next words. The carrier, vast and unshaken, moved onward, straight into the heart of the galaxy that had no idea what was coming. The Solari fleet's reports spread quickly through council channels. Images of the strange supercarrier filled holoscreens across dozens of worlds. Every angle showed the same thing. A massive armored giant moving with steady force, its surface glowing faintly with hidden energy. But when the council gathered to discuss it, laughter echoed in the chamber once again. "It is nothing but a waste of metal," said Councillor Varus of the Rhinar, his long arms folded across his chest. "Look at it. Heavy, slow, inefficient. A blunt hammer in a galaxy of blades." The Valen representative, a tall figure with silver-blue skin, nodded. "Its energy readings are impressive, yes, but its design outdated. No species with sense would build such a thing." Others agreed. The carrier looked clumsy. Its movement was slow compared to their advanced cruisers, and no known civilization in the galaxy would risk resources on a single massive ship, when fleets of smaller, faster vessels were far more effective. Only a handful of voices raised concern. Scholar Darren of the Thal leaned forward, his round eyes sharp. "You are blind. This ship is not an old relic, it is new. Look at the precision of its energy output. Look at its course. Whoever built it is not foolish." The chamber erupted in noise. "Paranoid," one counselor shouted. "You see ghosts where there are none," said another. "Even if it is active, it cannot compete with us." The council dismissed Darren's warning, recording it only as a note in the official archive. Meanwhile, in space the Solari fleet still shadowed the massive vessel. Captain Rithar remained uneasy. His instincts screamed that something was wrong. But his orders from the council were clear: escort, scan, and if possible, establish communication. Again, Rithar opened a channel. "Unknown vessel. Identify yourself. You are entering restricted space." Silence. He ground his teeth. His officers shifted nervously, tails flicking, claws tapping the controls. "Captain," one of them whispered, "what if it is some lost civilization? Should we not report back for reinforcements?" Rithar shook his head. "The council will not send more until they are certain. For now we watch. That is all." The giant ship continued forward, ignoring their presence. Its engines pulsed with quiet power. Back at the council headquarters, the debate continued. Finally, they decided a small fleet would be dispatched. Not to attack, but to remind this unknown ship that the council was watching. It was meant as a show of force. The fleet was assembled quickly. 10 cruisers, 6 frigates, and 2 heavy destroyers. It was not the largest force the council could summon, but it was more than enough, they believed, to intimidate a primitive ship into submission. When news of the fleet's departure reached the markets and trade stations, whispers spread. Merchants boasted that the council would soon drag the giant back like a captured beast. Explorers wagered on which species had built it, and which council world would claim it first. Some were less certain. On the mining colonies of the Rim, older captains shook their heads. They had seen strange things in the void. "Mark my words," one miner muttered in a station cantina. "Anything that big ain't built to look pretty. It's built to do something terrible." His companions laughed, but his words lingered in their minds. As the council fleet drew closer, the Solari ships pulled back. Captain Rithar felt no relief. If anything, his unease grew stronger. He watched as the sleek council ships surrounded the massive carrier, their weapons charged but not armed. Their commander, Admiral Varan, opened a broad transmission. "Unknown vessel, you are surrounded by the authority of the Galactic Council. Power down your engines and identify your origin. Failure to comply will be considered hostile." Still, silence. The alien crews exchanged confused glances. The carrier did not answer. It did not alter course. It simply continued forward, like a mountain ignoring the wind. Inside the council chamber, news of the standoff was met with pride. Councilors smiled, confident that their fleet would force the vessel to submit. "Perhaps we will capture it," one said. "Imagine the value of its materials, or study its design. Even primitive ships may have curious features. But it is slow, another laughed. If it runs, it cannot escape. If it fights, it cannot win. Scholar Darren rose once again, his voice firm. You underestimate what you do not understand. Look deeper. Why does it not answer? Why does it not turn away? It moves forward with purpose. That is not the behavior of a derelict or a frightened crew. That is confidence. His warning was ignored once again. On the bridge of the massive carrier, the human commander watched the alien fleet take position. Around him, his crew waited calmly. They think we are ignoring them, said his communications officer. The commander gave a thin smile. In truth, we are. Another officer leaned forward. Should we reveal ourselves? Not yet, the commander replied. Let them laugh. Let them believe us slow and primitive. The longer they underestimate us, the greater their shock will be when the time comes. He looked at the glowing shapes of the alien ships on his display. Patience is our weapon. The humans obeyed, silent and disciplined. Their carrier drifted forward like a sleeping giant, letting the aliens believe the lies their pride told them. The Council fleet grew restless. Admiral Voran sent more warnings, each more aggressive than the last. If you do not comply, we will fire. No response. Finally, he ordered a warning shot. A single blast of energy streaked across the void, cutting a bright line just ahead of the carrier's bow. The ship did not react. Alien officers chuckled. See? It is either empty or primitive. It does not even fear us. Perhaps we should board it, another suggested. Admiral Voran considered. Boarding was risky, but if the ship was truly as crude as it looked, it would be a prize worth taking. He sent the idea back to the Council, who approved without hesitation. In the chamber, Scholar Darren watched the news with dread. His words had been ignored too many times, but now he could not remain silent. You are fools, he shouted. His voice echoed across the chamber. Do you not see? No ship ignores warnings from the Council unless it is certain of its strength. You call it primitive, yet you cannot scan its weapons. You call it clumsy, yet it does not fear your fleet. Wake up. You are about to provoke something you do not understand. But the Council dismissed him, waving guards to escort him out. His cries faded as the chamber returned to calm discussion. To them, the primitive supercarrier was already a joke, a trophy waiting to be claimed. Far away, the boarding teams prepared. Small strike craft moved toward the carrier's massive hull. They found docking points along its armored surface, sealed and silent. As they drew closer, their sensors detected strange vibrations running through the metal. Sounds like engines? One pilot muttered. No, another replied. Not engines. Something else. The docking clamps engaged. The first alien Marines prepared to cut into the ship's side. Inside the carrier, hidden systems flickered to life. Deep within its core, rows of drones awakened, their eyes glowing. Massive cannons, long hidden beneath armored plates, stirred with a low hum. The humans did not speak. They simply watched. Their time was near. And soon the galaxy would learn that primitive was the last word they should have used. The alien boarding teams moved with confidence. Their strike craft clamped tightly onto the carrier's armored hull. Sparks burst as cutting torches burned into the thick plating. The Marines, proud members of the Galactic Council fleets, prepared to step inside what they thought was an abandoned, primitive ship. But deep inside the carrier, alarms whispered softly through hidden corridors. Humans stood ready, armored in silence. They did not rush. They did not panic. They had expected this. On the bridge, the commander watched the progress of the boarding teams on his display. His officers turned to him, waiting. Orders, sir. Wait, the commander said calmly. Let them think they are succeeding. The boarders finally broke through the outer plating. A hole opened, and alien soldiers stepped inside with weapons raised. They found themselves in a dimly lit chamber, walls thick with reinforced steel. The air smelled clean, too clean for a derelict. This ship is not abandoned, one of them whispered. Before they could report back, the walls came alive. Panels slid open and drones spilled out, small, fast, and armed with precision weapons. Red lights flickered as the machines swarmed the intruders. The aliens fired, but the drones moved like shadows, striking with ruthless accuracy. Within moments, the boarding team was pinned down, their voices screaming over open comms. Ambush. It's a trap. Then silence. Outside, the Council fleet listened in shock. Admiral Varan's face darkened as the cries of his Marines echoed through the comms and then faded to nothing. "What happened?" an officer asked. The Admiral's jaw tightened. They were not prepared. "Send more teams." But as the words left his mouth, the carrier stirred. Along its vast hull, hidden plates slid aside, revealing row after row of weapon ports. The faint glow seen earlier flared into brilliant lines of light. Energy built like thunder beneath the surface. On every council ship, alarms screamed. Massive power surge detected. Unknown weapons activating. The fleet had mocked the carrier for its silence, but now they realized the truth too late. The first volley came without warning. From the carrier's side erupted a swarm of drones, thousands of them, pouring out like a tidal wave of metal. Each drone carried weapons strong enough to pierce council shields. They moved in perfect formation, fast and coordinated. The nearest frigate never had a chance. Drones swarmed it from every angle, overwhelming its defenses. In less than a minute, its shields collapsed and the frigate's hull broke apart in a flash of fire. Shock rippled through the council fleet. "Frigate lost," cried a sensor officer. Admiral Varan's voice shook, though he tried to sound firm. "All ships engage. Destroy that swarm." The council ships opened fire, bright lances of energy slicing into the black. Dozens of drones exploded, but for every one destroyed, 10 more appeared. The sky around the carrier lit up with chaos. The aliens had expected a slow, primitive ship. Instead, they faced a fortress that carried its own endless army. On the carrier's bridge, the human commander stood tall, eyes calm as he watched the battle unfold. "They fire blindly," he said. "They do not understand." His tactical officer nodded. "Shall we reveal the main batteries?" The commander waited a moment, then gave a small nod. "Yes, it is time." The order spread through the carrier. Deep within its armored heart, colossal cannons awakened. Their barrels slid into place, glowing with immense energy. Outside, the council ships locked onto the swarm of drones, focusing fire. They barely noticed when the carrier's forward plates opened. Then the first shot fired. A beam of raw energy cut through the void, striking a council cruiser. Its shield shattered instantly and the entire ship split apart in a single explosion. The fleet froze. That cannot be possible," one officer shouted, but it was only the beginning. Another blast fired, then another. Each cannon shot carried the power of a fleet. Ships that once looked strong now crumbled like paper under the might of the carrier's weapons. Panic spread across the council fleet. Their formations broke as commanders shouted over each other. "Fall back. No, press the attack. Protect the admiral's ship." But the swarm of drones pressed harder, weaving between ships, striking engines, cutting through weapon systems. The mighty fleet that had come with laughter and arrogance now found itself drowning in fire. On the Talon's Fang, Captain Rethar could only stare. His ship had pulled back earlier, keeping distance, and now he watched as the proud council fleet was torn apart. "They mocked it," he whispered. "They thought it slow. They thought it weak." His crew looked at him with fear. "What is it, Captain?" Rethar's tail lashed. "Not a relic. Not a derelict. A predator." In the council chamber, the first reports of the battle reached the delegates. The holographic projection showed council ships falling, drones swarming, the massive carrier advancing without pause. The chamber filled with noise. "This is impossible. Our fleets are the strongest in the galaxy. It cannot be real." But the truth was undeniable. Their primitive target had revealed itself as a nightmare of war. Only Scholar Deerin remained silent. His earlier warnings rang in every counselor's mind. Slowly he said, "Now you see. Now you understand. This is not primitive. This is power." Back at the battle, Admiral Varan's flagship shook violently. Explosions rocked its hull as drones carved through its defenses. He shouted for his ships to regroup, but fewer and fewer answered. "Admiral," an officer cried, "we cannot hold." "What are your orders?" Varan's pride battled with his fear, but even he could see the truth. "This fight was lost. All ships," he said, voice heavy. "Retreat. Retreat now." But the humans had no intention of letting them go unpunished. The carrier's cannons fired again, striking the fleeing ships. Each blast tore through armor, leaving wreckage drifting in silence. Only a handful managed to escape into faster-than-light jump. The once proud council fleet was reduced to fragments and flame. When the guns finally fell silent, the carrier continued forward, unshaken. Its hull glowed faintly once more, plates sliding shut to hide its true power. To outside eyes, it looked again like a bulky, clumsy vessel, but those who had survived knew better. Inside the carrier, the human commander stood in silence, then spoke softly. They wanted to see us as primitive. Let them. Their underestimation is our shield. His crew nodded. The battle had gone exactly as planned. The galaxy now had its first taste of human strength, and it would not be the last. On the distant edges of space, the few Council survivors limped back toward safety. Their ships were broken, their crews shaken. They carried with them the first stories of the Supercarrier, not as a joke but as a nightmare. The word spread quickly. The Council fleet had been defeated. The primitive ship was unstoppable. Fear began to grow. Who built it? Where did it come from? And worst of all, how many more of them were out there? In the Council chamber, silence reigned. The laughter was gone. The arrogance was gone. The only sound was the quiet voice of Scholar Darren. You dismissed it, he said. You dismissed the warnings. Now the galaxy has seen. And soon you will face the truth. Whoever built that ship has power beyond anything you imagined. And they are not primitive. They are human. The word echoed through the chamber, heavy with meaning. Many had heard of humans before, an insignificant young species barely noticed in the galaxy. But now they were something else entirely. News of the first clash traveled faster than light. Across Council worlds, screens flickered with distorted transmissions from survivors. Smoke and debris filled the void in the images. Shattered ships drifted silently, crewless, while the massive carrier continued forward untouched, as if the battle had not even begun. The Council had expected to confront a primitive vessel, perhaps capture it or at least intimidate it. Instead, they had witnessed a fleet of their finest ships destroyed in minutes. Panic spread quickly through the ranks of the Council delegates. In the Grand Chamber, holograms of the battle played repeatedly. Representatives leaned forward, their faces pale. Councillor Varys of the Rhinar shook his head in disbelief. This cannot be real, he said. Our fleet, our best, destroyed. The Velan tactician, usually calm and composed, looked horrified. This is no accident. Whoever built that ship has studied us. They know exactly how to fight, councillors whispered among themselves. A few tried to rationalize it, claiming the fleet was unprepared, that maybe the alien reports were exaggerated. But the data told a clear story. Every surviving sensor confirmed the carrier's devastating power. Only Scholar Darren remained calm. He rose from his seat, voice steady but filled with urgency. You have ignored every warning, he said. Now you see the truth. This is not a relic. This is not a primitive ship. It was built by a species capable of outthinking any Council fleet. And that species is human. The chamber erupted. Humans, one councillor gasped. That young, insignificant species? Impossible. Insignificant, Darren repeated, voice rising. They were dismissed for centuries, seen as weak, primitive, unworthy of notice. Yet they have built a vessel capable of destroying fleets in minutes. They planned this far from our eyes, in the shadows. They watched, they learned, and they built. But the humans are not a galactic power, protested another delegate. How could they build something so massive? Silence, Darren snapped. You have spent decades believing your technology and tactics are the best, and yet a species you ignored has proven you wrong. Look at the fleet. Look at the destruction. This is only the beginning. The Council fell into uneasy silence. Darren's words left no room for argument. The images of burning ships and drifting wreckage were undeniable. Meanwhile, far from the Council chambers, the massive human-built carrier drifted steadily. Its engines pulsed quietly, almost lazily, as if taunting the galaxy. Inside, the human crew moved calmly. They repaired minor systems, checked energy flows, and prepared for the next stage of their mission. On the bridge, the commander studied reports from the destroyed Council fleet. They underestimated us, he said. Yes, sir, replied his tactical officer. They believed our design was primitive. They believed our speed and power were limited. They believed we could be ignored. The commander smiled faintly. And they were wrong. Let them learn carefully. Fear is a powerful teacher. The humans had planned this encounter meticulously. They had studied the Council's fleets, learned their strategies, weaknesses, and communication patterns. Every move the aliens had made was predicted, every assumption used against them. The battle had been swift, clean, and decisive. Across the galaxy, news of the carrier's identity began to emerge. First came speculation. Unknown species, rogue warlord, ancient relic. Then the truth was discovered. Sensors detected energy signatures unique to Earth's star system. Humans. Galactic media exploded with the revelation. Reports filled data networks. Humans built a planet-sized supercarrier. Council fleets defeated by young species. Primitive assumptions proved deadly. The words traveled from star to star across trade routes and into the ears of every counselor, commander, and civilian. Fear and fascination swept through the galaxy simultaneously. Scholars, strategists, and traders all wondered the same question. What else had humans built in secret? In the council chamber, panic grew. Admiral Varan, the leader of the shattered fleet, addressed the assembly. "They cannot be allowed to continue," he said. "If one ship can destroy our fleet, what will their next do? How many more exist?" A dozen counselors shouted over him. Some demanded immediate retaliation. Others urged caution. "Retaliation? With what?" said the Valen tactician grimly. "Most of our fleet is destroyed. We barely have ships to defend inner systems. We cannot even predict their next move." The council realized for the first time that humans were not merely a young species. They were a secret power growing unseen. The arrogance that had dismissed humanity now turned into fear. Darren rose again. "You will learn to respect them," he said. "Not as a weak species to ignore, but as equals, or perhaps even as superiors." They built a warship that no council force could defeat, and they did it quietly, far from your attention. Back in space, the survivors of the council fleet limped home. Messages from those ships painted a grim picture. Entire crews lost, ships shattered, and the humans had not even appeared fully awake. They had only shown a fraction of their carrier's capabilities. One Solari captain, Rythar, reported back to the council. His voice was calm, but every word carried the weight of what he had seen. "It is a fortress," he said. "A fortress with weapons beyond imagination. Drones, energy beams, cannons that can split a ship in two. And yet, the crew acts with perfect control. They are humans. Small, seemingly fragile, but precise. They know what they are doing, and they do not hesitate." The council listened, stunned. Rythar continued. "We thought we were observing a primitive ship. We were wrong. This is a human creation, and it is far more dangerous than anything we have ever faced." The galaxy began to change. Intelligence networks worked tirelessly to track the carrier's movements. Scholars debated human ingenuity. Traders speculated on their technology. Even alien mercenaries began preparing to sell information about humanity for the highest price. The revelation spread. Humans were no longer an insignificant species at the edge of the galaxy. They had proven their ability to outthink, outfight, and outmaneuver the most experienced fleets in existence. On distant worlds, leaders quietly revised defense strategies. What had once been considered optional, monitoring human activity, now became a top priority. Inside the carrier, the humans made no announcements, sent no messages, and revealed no further secrets. Their purpose was not conquest. It was demonstration. They had shown the galaxy their strength and intelligence. The fleet they had defeated was a warning, not a declaration of war. The commander leaned over the display, eyes scanning maps and reports. "They believe they know us," he said. "They do not. Let them prepare. Let them learn." A young officer asked, "Do we continue to inner systems, sir?" "Yes," the commander said calmly, "but carefully. We are not here to fight every species. We are here to ensure they understand we cannot be ignored." The crew nodded, moving silently through the corridors. Each knew their place, each understood their mission. And the carrier continued to drift, a shadow of immense power in the void. Meanwhile, the council began to take measures. Emergency sessions were called, fleets rebuilt, and spies sent to every corner of space to study humans. They sent diplomats to nearby systems to gather intelligence, while militaries prepared new strategies for defense. Yet even as they planned, fear had taken root. No longer could they consider humans as weak or unimportant. The revelation had shattered centuries of arrogance. Darren's voice echoed in the chamber. "The galaxy has underestimated humanity for too long. Watch them carefully. Respect them. Learn from them. But never assume that we are stronger than they are. We are not. Not anymore." The word spread across council halls and military posts alike, leaving everyone uneasy. Humans had entered the galaxy's awareness, and their presence demanded acknowledgement, respect, and caution. In quiet moments, the humans aboard the carrier prepared for what was next. Every system was checked, every weapon tested, and every crew member trained. They were ready for the future, whatever it held. The revelation was only the beginning. The galaxy had seen a glimpse of their power, and the humans had not even revealed their full potential. Somewhere, far beyond the Council's reach, the commander whispered softly, "They believed us primitive. They were wrong. And soon the galaxy will know exactly who we are." And with that, the carrier continued forward, its engines pulsing steadily, a silent promise of power, intelligence, and the unstoppable rise of humanity.